Shut the lights down here in the city, say the system's on the ropes, while the same hands that broke it hold your paycheck and your hopes. They'll sell your sweat for silver, call your sacrifice relief, but every drop of truth we bleed writes another line of belief. Freedom isn't free, it's carved in blood and fire and stone. That's the price of stand tall when they tell you to kneel and go home. They can lock up every promise, tax the air we breathe, but they'll never chain the hearts of those who still believe. 'Cause freedom isn't free. They preach peace from marble towers while they fence off your front yard. They wave a flag made out of rules and call obedience smart. They'll brand your voice as danger, they'll mock your faith as greed, but freedom don't need permission, it just needs men who'll bleed. Freedom isn't free, it's carved in blood and fire and stone. It's the price of standing tall when they tell you kneel and go home. They can lock up every promise, tax the air we breathe, but they'll never change the hearts of those who still believe. 'Cause freedom isn't free. Freedom isn't free, it's written in red on history's page, a warning to the tyrants and the cowards of the age. They can bury us in silence, but the truth still screams. Freedom isn't free. Freedom isn't free.
Hello, friends. Do you have a moment so that we may discuss our Lord and Savior Minarchy? No, seriously, I'm just kidding. Hi, my name's Rick Robinson. I am the general manager of KLRNradio.com. We are probably the largest independent podcast network that you've never heard of. We have a little bit of everything, and by that, what I mean to tell you is we have news, pop culture, special events, conspiratainment, true crime, mental health shows, drama productions, and pretty much everything in between. So if you're looking for a new podcast home to grab a little bit of everything that you love all in one place, come check us out. You can find us on X under @KLRNradio. You can find us on our Rumble and our YouTube channels under the same names. You can also find us at KLRNradio.com and pretty much every podcast catcher known to man. So again, feel free to come check us out anytime you like at KLRNradio.
Come gather round the footlights, lads, and hear the old boards groan. A tale of ink and iron will, of voices overblown. From mics and scripts to painted sails, we've traded shore for sea. The players will man the rigging soon. Aye, your hands, follow me. From Long John shadowed silver grin to Jim with compass true. We speak the words, we wear the scars, we make the old world new. No gold without the work behind, no legend without sweat. A stage, a ship, a single breath. The course is not set yet. We players sail, we players sail, we players sail soon. All hands to KLRN Radio, setting sail for Treasure Island, March 2026.
But can you say for sure you got the best monthly payment possible on your auto loan? Could it be that you might have gotten a better deal by shopping the loan at a few places and have a lower car payment? Next time, before you go car shopping, visit Communication Federal Credit Union first. Our auto loan experts will find you a perfect loan and get you the lowest monthly payment we can. Communication Federal, your auto loan experts. Restrictions apply. Federally insured by NCUA.
Hi, everyone. This is JJ, the co-founder of Good Pods. If you haven't heard of it yet, Good Pods is like Goodreads or Instagram, but for podcasts. It's new, it's social, it's different, and it's growing really fast. There are more than 2 million podcasts, and we know that it is impossible to figure out what to listen to. On Good Pods, you follow your friends and podcasters to see what they like. That is the #1 way to discover new shows and episodes. You can find Good Pods on the web or download the app. Happy listening.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
The following program contains coarse language and adult themes. Listener discretion is advised.
From red dirt roads to the Capitol steps, Rick's calling truth, no time for regrets. Fire in his voice, facts in his hand, talking sense to the heart of this land. It's the Rick Robinson Show, where the truth rides high. No spin, no script, just an eagle in the sky. From DC to Tulsa, he's calling it out. Mic in his hand, yeah, he's got the clout.
And it's Monday, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get through it together. Welcome to what I'm going to probably start doing as an annual thing. My annual Stick It to the Man, my show started late because time change sucks episode. Let's go.
He's breaking down the noise, cutting through the lies, shining light where the shadow hides. With guests in the mix and callers on cue, he's a voice for the many, not the few. We'll grab your
All right. In my own defense, one of my dogs woke me up at like 2:30 in the morning, and then I couldn't get back to sleep until like 5 something. And then I slept till like 10 o'clock, and I was like, you know what? I could try to get up and throw a show together real quick, or I could just blame time change, which I'm okay with. We were told this stuff was stopping. Anybody remember that? I've now heard from 2 different President Trump administrations that time change was the devil and he was going to make it go away. And yet, here we are. That is probably one of the only broken promises I think I can hang around his neck. So far, everything else is coming up pretty well. Which is how and why this show is going to start the way that it is today, because I know a lot of globalists and elite leftists are really pissed right now. And I have to say, that is music to my ears, and it should be music to yours too, because these people are retarded. And what is driving me absolutely crazy, and I've talked about this for the last few shows, is having one Baghdad bomb was bad enough. Now we literally have thousands of Tehran Timmies that are just out there telling you everything that could possibly go wrong, giving you AI images of what they wish was happening, and all of it involves me and you dying in a fire. And some of these accounts are actually here. That should terrify a lot of you. And the weirdest thing is, it's like here, we're tired of freedom, right? That's all I keep saying is, your government has the money for millions and millions and millions of dollars of bombs, and yet you're starving. And everywhere else that has been under government thumb, they are screaming for freedom. Hell, I just saw a news story the other day that Cubans are starting to protest in the streets because of everything that's going on. So you've got Venezuela, you've got Cuba, now you've got Iran, if we have the nerve to keep putting our foot on their neck, which would reshape the entire Middle East. And I say it that way because unfortunately I'm already starting to see cracks, not with the administration, but with the supposed folks that are supposed to be on our side of the argument. I have seen 4 different stories today on Fox News about how bad gas prices are. You know what? These are the people that are screaming about the gas prices now were the same ones that told me and you that we needed to get used to paying $5 and $6 a gallon so that we could save the penguins and the polar bears. Or when the Ukraine thing first popped off and they're like, well, if it makes gas prices go up, but we make Ukraine better, isn't that still okay? Look, you can say what you want about the Ukraine thing. I understand why we didn't want to have anything to do with that. That wasn't our war. This is our war. And I can't emphasize that enough. This has been going on for 47 years. I'm only 52, just to give you a frame of reference. This has been going on for almost as long as I've been alive. The Iranian regime has done everything they can to destabilize the West, to destabilize Western culture, to cause as much havoc as it can, as often as it can, just because it wants to. And yet, here we are. Oh no, you're exactly right. Gas prices are in fact stupidly transitory. They'll move on. It's all about undermining OMB, otherwise known as Orange Man Bad. That's BZ in the chat, by the way, who does an awesome show that we carry here every Tuesday and Thursday night. So make sure you come back for that tomorrow night. Because for some reason today I woke up for about a half a second thinking it was Tuesday too, and I was like, oh crap, it's Monday, and I'm supposed to do a show in like an hour. We're gonna blame time change. But it also took me some time to go through a few more of my notes and get some things figured out that I definitely wanted to talk about. I found this interesting. So I saw this beforehand, where Jesse Jackson Jr. had basically said, "We don't want politics at my dad's funeral," or everybody calls them celebration of life ceremonies now. But they couldn't help themselves. Obama did it. Biden did it. Kamila Hamasnik did it. And this is why this stuff matters. This is the Democratic Party showing you exactly what you mean to them when they can't even respect your wishes regarding your father's end-of-life services. And so this is from our friends over at Town Hall. This is from Jeff Charles. Jesse Jackson Jr. chided former Democratic presidents Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, and Joe Biden the day after they gave a eulogy for his father during his memorial service, because it wasn't actually a eulogy. While speaking to a crowd of mourners in Chicago on Saturday, he pushed back against the two former presidents for using Reverend Jesse Jackson's memorial to take jabs at political opponents. Yesterday, and I quote, "I listened for several hours of 3 of the United States presidents who did not know Jesse Jackson," he said. He maintained a tense relationship with the political order, not because the presidents were white or black, but the demand of our message, the demands of speaking for the least of these, those who were disinherited, the damned, the dispossessed, the disrespected, demanded not Democrat or Republican solutions, but demanded a consistent prophetic voice that at no point in time ever sold us out as a people. So I'm gonna honestly say, I don't try. I'm not trying to speak ill of the dead, but I don't think Jesse Jackson's son knew him very well either. But I do find it interesting that he did specifically say this service will be open to everyone, regardless of political stripe, race, creed, etc. And yeah, so. And here we go. During the first day of the service on Friday, Obama and Biden spoke about the current political climate in America. Obama told the audience we are living in a time when it can be hard to cope. Each day we wake up to some new assault to our democratic institutions, not a democracy, by the way, another setback to the idea of the rule of law, an offense to common decency. Biden went on to say, we find ourselves in a challenging situation, folks. We have an administration that doesn't share any of our values, and I don't believe I'm exaggerating. Well, I do, because they share a lot of my values. Neither referred to President Donald Trump by name, but the message was quite clear. So yeah, they couldn't even put politics aside for one day to celebrate one of their supposed heroes. Because, like it or not, Jesse Jackson was a hero of the left. I personally, in my opinion, think that Jesse Jackson took a lot of what Martin Luther King Jr. stood for and twisted it to his own devices. But again, eulogies and funeral services are when we're really supposed to be able to put all this crap down for at least 5 seconds and celebrate the person. If you can't understand or see how myopic everything is for the Democrats now, based on just that alone, then I don't have any way to paint a clearer picture for you. Because these people don't care about you. They don't care about me. They don't care about the country. The only thing they care about is their ability to hang on to power long enough to ride through what they hope comes next and wind up on top when the new stuff kicks in. That's all this is about. That's all this has ever been about. And they have been able to take half the country and wrap them up so tightly in their feelings and their angst and their fears that they get their vote every single time. Doesn't matter how often they lie to you. Doesn't matter how often they prove to you that you don't matter. They just want your vote, and they're willing to do whatever they can to get it. And then when they stopped being able to get it, they started importing new voters. What I really don't understand is there was a light bulb moment in 2023, 2024, when people that were dealing with all the illegal immigration stuff that were in places like Chicago and New York City were mad as hell, and they weren't going to take it anymore. And they were going to their city halls and they were going to their council meetings and they were saying, why are these people getting all of this stuff when I'm struggling? What is going on with that? What is this? And it seems like either that has stopped or it's not serving anybody's purposes anymore, so they're not talking about it. I don't know which one it is, but I do know that I find it really, really weird that while we seem to be sliding more and more into socialism, please see New York City, please see Seattle, the rest of the world is starting to cry for freedom. Actual freedom. I find it also very offensive that we seem to be sliding that way during our 250th anniversary of becoming a nation and fighting for our own freedoms and winning them. I also find it rather offensive that every other day I still see people of color screaming about reparations. You are asking us to repay you for something that happened generations ago where the people that were already directly affected were already repaid. This isn't about warm, fuzzy feelings. This isn't about everybody's, got to understand that life is hard. Because here's the thing. If we're going to start giving reparations to slaves, guess what? I'm descended from slaves too. I'm part Native American, which means at one point I was part of the tribe I came from was probably enslaved by another one. I'm also part Irish. Guess what? Irish were slaves in America in the beginning when they first started coming over because they were different. Because that's the way the world worked back then. It was normal. It was expected. It was understood. We were one of the countries that started the process to change that, and yet everyone on the left still claims that we're the evil ones. If not for countries like us, slavery would still exist en masse. And like it or not, the truth of it is it still does, just really not here as much. They just changed the name, repackaged it. Now it's called human trafficking. Same thing. You're still selling people into slavery. You're still getting them somewhere, taking their passports away and forcing them to work for next to nothing until they repay whatever transitory cost you say they have cost you to get them to wherever you've put them. But even those people are starting to feel the cry of freedom because everybody's had enough. The one that just floored me was Iran. Seeing Iranians dancing in the streets, seeing women taking their hijabs off for probably the first time in public since some of them were born, without the risk of having acid thrown on their face or the risk of the government coming and rounding them up and torturing them for doing it because the government barely exists right now. It was astounding to me. I've talked about this before. As a father of daughters and a grandfather to granddaughters, I thought I could logically comprehend what was happening in Iran. Until I saw the dam break. And I saw women crying and dancing with glee in the streets. I've seen women every time they have an internet connection posting videos telling the left in America and the left in Europe to leave them out of their mouths because they're fine with dying if it means Iran becomes a free nation again. Where did that level of intestinal fortitude go in America? Because there was a time, and it wasn't that long ago, that once bombs started falling, the bickering stopped. We got through it, we got through the other side of it, and then the bickering started again, and everybody started pointing fingers, well, if it wasn't for this and this, whatever. But you know what? I can live with that. I can't live with us hamstringing one another in the middle of a conflict. And I'm not talking about a little 4-6 hour stint in Benghazi where we left 4 people to die. That's not the same thing. That was stupid. That never should have happened in the way that it did. And I'm going to say this again. It's been a while since I've said it. The fact that one of those people was able to paint targets turns everything the Obama administration said about whether assets were available on its head, because they're not college laser pointers. Those things don't engage and don't work unless there's something there to receive the signal. Now, you could scream and yell that maybe it wasn't armed, maybe it wasn't this, maybe it wasn't that, but those people for about 10 seconds had false hope because they painted a target, it lit up, and they assumed the cavalry was coming, and we left them to die. Now, for all of you that want to keep comparing this to that, go ahead. I will eat your fucking lunch because it's not the same thing. It is nowhere near the same thing. And the simple fact of the matter is, this isn't a war. This is a liberation. The Iranian people have been screaming at us and to us for 47 years to save them from a mess that we helped make. Should have been dealt with in 1980. At the latest, should have been dealt with in 1981. But it wasn't. So here we sit, which is one of these things that kind of makes me feel like God is kind of pushing the buttons on this one. Because stay with me for a second. 47 years later, the 47th president of the United States decides to try to take on Iran toe-to-toe, even though no other president before him has had the balls to do it. And according to some newly uncovered information, Mossad Agent 47 was instrumental in helping. That's a lot of serendipity. That's a lot of serendipity. I mean, I'm just being honest. That is a lot of serendipity. All right, so that was first news hit of the day. Jesse Jackson is pissed at Democrats. Let's see if it makes any difference. I somehow doubt that it will, but you never know. All right, so remember that? Well, we hadn't really talked about it yet, but there was a bombing attempt. Gracie Mansion in New York City. So apparently they're now facing charges. We're kind of going to go through this backwards before we go to the break. This is from Town Hall, Amy Curtis. News about the attempted terror attack that took place in New York over the weekend keeps coming. And we learned about the families of Ibrahim Kayumi, 19, and Emir Balat, 18, earlier. Kayumi's parents own a 5,800 square foot home in Pennsylvania and are naturalized citizens from Afghanistan, while Balat's parents come from Turkey and they were naturalized in 2017. Now we know what charges the pair are facing, and we're learning of a startling admission about their intent. First, we'll go into the charges. According to the Communist News Network, otherwise known as CNN, Kayumi and Balat are both facing charges of providing material support to a terrorist organization and using a weapon of mass destruction. Attorney General Pam Bondi said the Justice Department will not allow ISIS to threaten Americans. We have charged the two alleged ISIS-inspired terrorists who attempted to bomb a protest in New York City. We will not allow ISIS's poisonous anti-American ideology to threaten this nation. Our law enforcement officers will remain vigilant. And here's more from Fox News, who said the pair will appear in federal court today. Images of the homemade bombs were shared too, showing them containing screws, nuts, and bolts. And hang on. Yeah, I'll take care of it on the break. Sorry, I noticed something and I don't think she caught it. So anyway, so this is from Nick Sorter's account. DOJ has officially charged the Muslim who threw a bomb at anti-Islam protesters with multiple terror-related charges, per AG Bondi. So yeah, that's the the funniest thing about all of this is watching the video, and I was going to try to find it, but I haven't really found it yet. But apparently there's a point where there's a protest that is anti-Muslim and a protest that's whatever the offset of that is. And so the two are coming together, and one of them is screaming to the other one, and it's the people that are of the left, "We don't want you here. The fascists don't need to be here." But right before they said that, they said everybody's welcome. In this country, everybody's welcome. We don't need you here. We don't want you here. Get rid of the fascists. I'm like, aren't they part of everyone? So, yeah. Yeah, so here's one of the most interesting takeaway points in this. During questioning, Balat told cops he wanted Saturday's attack to be more deadly than the Boston Marathon bombing, because there were only 3 deaths in that one, and he wanted there to be a lot more. So yeah, fun times, fun times. All right. Let's see. All right, so we got to talk about this before we go to the break. This is from Jeff Charles again, over at Town Hall. So Iran is believed to have sent a message to possible sleeper cells in other countries as the regime faces continued bombardment from the United States and Israel. This development comes amid increasing concerns that the regime might use proxies to carry out retaliatory attacks in the U.S. and other Western nations as the war continues. The U.S. has intercepted encrypted communications believed to have originated in Iran that may serve as an operational trigger for sleeper assets outside of the country. Now, let's keep in mind that thanks to Joe Biden, we have no way of knowing how many sleeper agents we might have in here. And it's interesting that we're just now starting to talk about this with the upcreep and weird things that have been happening for the last couple of weeks. I think it's time for us to face the reality that we are going to have to put our heads on a swivel for a while. I'm not saying that we should stop anything that we're doing, because God no. That at this point, that just makes everything worse. If we don't take out this regime, and okay, so I know I've already cursed once today, and I do play a disclaimer, but earmuffs in 3, 2, 1. If we don't stop Iran's dick into the dirt and turn this country over to its people, then this is never going to end. And that's where we are. All right, so looks like there's a new poll. We'll be talking about that after the break. And no, I don't mean that kind of poll, you pervs. All right, so in honor of law enforcement helping to stop a giant terror attack, let's play something that I normally only play on Fridays. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Comes in, somebody answers. Day or night, they're already moving. Calm voices, fast hands, doing the work while the rest of the world freezes. From a headset to a truck, from a badge to a door, they don't stop to count the cost. They step in when it matters. It's not about being seen, it's about being there. They're holding the line when the lines go dead, standing their ground when the world goes dark. They're the calm in the chaos, holding the line through the fire, the flood. When everything falls, they don't ask why, they just answer the call. Always standing in the gap for us all. Before the sirens faded, before the scene is clear, someone's already making sense of the moment. Keeping people alive, keeping things from getting worse. Some run toward danger, some stay behind and hold it together. Different roles, same weight, same promise to show up. When everything's on the line, they're already there. They're holding the line when the lines go dead, standing their ground when the world goes dark. They're the calm in the chaos, holding the line through the fire, the flood. When everything falls, they don't ask why, they just answer the call. Always standing in the gap for us all. This is service, this is sacrifice, this is how lives are saved. No spotlight, no applause, just showing up again and again. They're holding the line when the world goes dark. When everything's breaking, they hold their ground. They're the calm in the chaos, holding the line. So we raise our voices for the ones who stand. Every voice, every badge, every helping hand. They don't ask why, they just answer the call. Always standing in the gap for us all. Always standing in the gap for us all.
And welcome back into the program, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, the trolls came out hard and heavy right as I went to break. So yeah, all I have to say is the same thing I said in the chat. To whoever the hell looks like Bang T, whatever the hell your name is. First of all, there is no Zionist terrorism. That's the other side. And no, we will not surrender. And we're not disarming the IDF. So I'm going to say out loud the same thing I said to you in the chat. Code humping troll says what? Anyway, so yeah, I'm trying to expand our YouTube numbers. Some days I regret that choice. Not today, because I do enjoy bashing trolls. But yeah, anyway. All right, so we talked about it before the break. Then we're going to get into a weird moment from Mamdani in a second. But here's the thing. And I want you to keep in mind, these numbers are with all of the negative press that Trump gets 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. According to a new NBC News poll, Trump is still, while a polarizing figure, more popular than former Vice President Kamala Harris and California Governor Gavin Newsom, who were both expected to be in the 2028 primary. So President Trump's favorability stood at 41% positive and 53% negative, compared to Harris's 34% positive and 51% negative. Newsom and his hair gel were at 27% positive and 45% negative. So here's another interesting finding. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, despite the controversy it has faced over the past year, also outperformed the Democrat Party at 38% positive and 56% negative. Democrats are at 30% positive and 52% negative. Even with the negative news coverage of ICE, Democrats still remain more unpopular, which is probably why they're trying so hard to keep part of the government shut down. So Democrats did, however, have some positive news, as voters preferred a Democrat-controlled Congress by 50% to 44%, but Republicans still hold a 27% advantage on border security, a 22-point advantage on crime, and a 12-point advantage on immigration when respondents were asked which party would handle these issues more effectively. So this, again, is part of why I think we have become dysfunctional. Because according to the pollers, when asked, 50% of Americans say they would prefer a Democrat-controlled Congress, but they still want border security, etc. Are we really that divorced from reality that we don't understand that the Democrats don't care? The demon rats don't care about any of that anymore because they just don't? Is that how divorced from reality our population has become? Because I'm really starting to think that might be how divorced from reality our population has become, which is kind of terrifying when you think about it. All right, so here's a weird moment from Mamdani. This happened yesterday. Actually, I think it was today. Yeah, it looks like it was today. Sorry, I misread. All right, but let me get this queued up here. Yeah, see, I was all on board for Vance, but Rubio's been kicking ass lately. So now I'm like, do I want Vance in the top of the ticket and Rubio in the second seat? Because the thing about it is, if we play this right, if we get Vance Rubio, then that means we could have Rubio on somebody else in 8 more years if we play our cards right. So, yeah, I don't know. Dude, Rubio has come into his own. I know this wasn't on my notes, but since somebody brought it up in the chat, I have to talk about this for a moment because nobody has been more pleasantly surprised about Marco Rubio and the job that he's done than me, because he is just, I mean, he's kicking ass and taking names everywhere he goes. All right, so let's see what else we can get into real quick. Oh yeah, sorry, I got distracted by the chat and forgot I was trying to load a clip. It happens though, so hang on. So this, we'll talk about it afterwards.
Good morning. On Saturday, a protest was held outside Gracie Mansion, where I live with my wife, Rama. Neither of us were home at the time. This was a vile protest rooted in white supremacy entitled Stop the Islamic Takeover of New York City. I'm the first Muslim mayor of our city. Anti-Muslim bigotry is nothing new to me, nor is it anything new for the 1 million or so Muslim New Yorkers who know this city as our home.
All right, so there you have part of the press conference. We're going to go into the article a little bit now that we've played the clip, though, so hang on. All right, so this is from our friends over at Red State. This is Bonchi. I realize I haven't been putting the articles out on my feed, so I'm going to fix that real quick. Hang on. So hang on, let me get into this. Mondami yesterday, white supremacist Jake Lang organized a protest outside Gracie Mansion, rooted in bigotry and racism. Such hate has no place in New York City. It is an affront to our city's values and the unity that defines who we are. I'm gonna say that's not white supremacy. That is a grounded fear of Islam, because you guys have this weird thing called Islamophobia. The suffix phobia means an irrational fear of. No one who has a fear of Islam has an irrational fear of it. So what followed was even more disturbing. Violence at a protest is never acceptable. The attempt to use an explosive device and hurt others is not only criminal, it is reprehensible and the antithesis of who we are. Is it really, though? I want to thank the brave men and women of the NYPD, who I trash talk every other day, who acted quickly to keep New Yorkers safe. Our officers ran towards danger without hesitation, demonstrating once again the courage and dedication it takes to protect this city every single day. My administration is closely monitoring the situation, and I remain in close contact with our police commissioner. I would like to remind everybody that the same guy who just gave a attaboy to NYPD was the same guy who went and visited a robbery suspect in the hospital, not the cop that was also in the hospital. So anyway. So, of course, Mandami had a presser scheduled for Monday morning. And first thought, of course, is exactly what he did. He's going to condemn Islamophobia, isn't he? Sure enough, those were his opening comments. As I said, you can't parody this guy. If you listen to his full remarks, while he specifically mentions and condemns white supremacy, he never condemns Islamism, despite it being the known motivation for the attack. I guess some ideologies are worth mentioning more than others. Or more likely, Mandami is so compromised that he wouldn't dare say anything about negative about Islam. He can't say anything negative about Islam. He can't, or they're going to kill him. That's the whole point. Okay, so conservatives are blinded by their ignorance. Would you care to give a point to that, or are you just going to drop into my chat, drop a bomb, and run? Yeah, exactly, BZ. I mean, he can't exactly condemn himself. So there's that. There's that. All right. Anyway, let's see what other trouble we can get into here real quick. I think, if I remember right, I have quite a few bookmarks from other stuff that I wanted to talk about today. So we're going to start getting into some of those. So while all of that was happening, or around the same time, I think this was actually from Sunday. So Saturday, we had folks trying to blow up people in front of Gracie Mansion. And then Sunday, we had this in New York City, which, again, kind of surprises me, if I'm being completely honest. All right. So, in case you weren't sure what we were watching there, because I know some of you watch on your phones and it gets kind of small, that was actually an Iranian march honoring the fallen soldiers from America for helping to try to liberate them. Which is, again, I mean, if you want, this is a point when I have to admit some of my own prejudices. I really thought, especially after 9/11, when they showed Iranians dancing in the streets, screaming death to America after we got hit, I believed what I saw. Yeah, that I believed what I saw. And I think you may have misunderstood the point of the clip. These were actually people that are wanting a free Iran who were thanking us for trying to help them, that were marching peaceably in our streets. The other thing that I would like you to notice, there was no violence, there was no screaming, there was no yelling, there was no fighting with the police. They were just quietly marching. Anyway, but yeah, so I have to admit some of my own prejudices. Because after 9/11, when they started showing all the people in the Middle East that were dancing in the street screaming death to America, I believed it was genuine. I'm now starting to understand that most of those things that were recorded that way, they didn't have a choice. And the people of Iran have never really had a problem with us. The leadership in Iran definitely has. All right. Oh boy. Oh, wait. Hang on. This just came out like a few minutes ago. So this is from Red State. You guys might want to get your popcorn ready because according to Nick Arama, there's about to be something huge happening. So President Donald Trump just made a big decision that will likely expose a lot of information that was not released about Joe Biden during his occupation of the Oval Office. Trump has rejected Biden's claim of executive privilege to not turn over documents requested in various Senate probes, determining it is not in the best interest of the United States. Dun, dun, dun. And I quote, White House counsel David Warrington wrote Monday in a letter addressed to the National Archives and Records Administration and obtained by Fox News Digital that Trump does not uphold the former president's assertion of privilege. Our records sought in 4 congressional probes. The letter directs NARA to provide the materials to Congress. The dispute centers on documents related to investigations into Biden's health, alleged politically motivated probes into Trump and his allies, and the Biden family's financial dealings, with which Republicans argue go to the heart of Congress's constitutional authority to conduct oversight. So let me break this down into English. What this means is the White House is telling the NARA to turn over anything about the cover-up of Biden's health and cognitive decline. Imagine all the potential documents that could involve. We could see all the machinations and who specifically did what regarding any concealing of his cognitive decline. And I quote, the abuse of the auto pen that took place during the Biden presidency and the extraordinary efforts to shield President Biden's diminished faculties from the public must be subject to a full accounting to ensure nothing similar ever happens again, according to Warrington. Warrington had previously weighed in when Trump denied the executive privilege regarding the auto pen issue. The Senate was also trying to get records related to coordinated efforts by the Biden administration against President Trump and his staff through politically motivated investigations. That could also reap a gold mine of interesting things. So yeah, I think it might be time to get the popcorn ready. Because could be interesting. All right, so let's see. There was one. Oh, let me go back into my bookmarks because I had more. I got distracted by the headline. All right, so I have to say, I used to mainly watch The Five because Gutfeld is usually on there, and one of my clients gets to go play on his show all the time, the Gutfeld show. Yeah, One of the other bright spots I'm finding has been TRRS. I think he is being a bit prophetic here, and I don't necessarily think he's wrong either. All right, so let me get this pulled up on the screen.
I'm excited about this. I will get my banner. I'll put my beard on the line. I think by summertime, it's going to be an amazing time to be an American. It's going to be an amazing time to be all over the world because the sheriff is back. Listen, one of the things you guys argue a lot about is one of the biggest things was, how it's going well because they brought up gas prices. That was the thing. Or, we might be out of bombs. Those are the talking points. But here's the thing. When I'm anti-war also until my countrymen are sent out to war. Then I'm all for it, full regalia. Our troops are out there doing the thing. So you know what? High gas prices, no big deal. Food prices, no tech, all these things. Because you know what? In World War II, our American people who stayed home sacrificed everything to support our troops. So if the gas prices go up, and it's nice because we know why they went up now. Before, when prices went up, we'd be like, hey, Biden, why is this happening? Oh, Trump did it. President said, yeah, you're going to feel a pinch because this is what happens when you support the great American men and women who are just, if this was a boxing match, they would have stopped it. The president does not, I think Greg said this yesterday, I'm 1,000% behind him. He does not go into deals he does not know how to get out of. This is a completely different situation, and you keep bringing up things from the past. We've never seen a response from the Middle East like we have now. We're seeing Iran is done. They are done. And the longer it drags out, it's not going to be that long. The president wouldn't put us in this position. He's proved over and over and over again that he's an anti-war president. And your talking points, and just keeping it real, every time somebody quotes media as a source, I and most of the American people laugh. You guys have no credibility. So whatever polls you want, the only poll that I'm seeing right now is there's no flags poll flying in Iran right now. So good on USA. Keep doing your thing, making the world.
And he's not wrong. I mean, part of what he goes on to say, and it's not actually part of this clip, is that he thinks a lot of this is going to be resolved by mid or late summer. I don't know if I'm that optimistic, but I do know this. Everything that we thought we knew about what would happen if we took Iran on toe-to-toe seems to be being turned on its head. Now, I realize there aren't any boots on the ground yet, but I also know that President Trump is probably smart enough to make sure that when there are boots on the ground, they won't be ours. I know he had already shot down the idea of Iraqi Kurds going in, but Iran has Kurds too, and they're already saying they're willing to help. I know a little bit more than I should, but I'm not going to say too much. But I do know, thanks to a source, that the CIA is starting to work on getting arms shipments to the Iranian people. So yeah, I mean, I don't really want to go into, I wouldn't necessarily go into absolutes either if I didn't already know that there were some skunk works kind of things going on to start arming Iranians that nobody's really talking about yet, that we probably won't find out about for a few more months. And no, I'm sorry. As much as I want to spill the beans, I can't tell you how I know. Anyway, so we'll find out. But again, if not now, when? I mean, like I said, this should have been dealt with at least 45 years ago? At least. But it wasn't. So now we have a president who, like it or not, is playing on a level that a lot of folks have never seen, to the point where he's basically trusting the commanders to go in and get things done. I mean, Jen and I talked about this last week on Jen and Rick. After we went in during 9/11, and even when we went in during first Gulf War, we did all of these things to beat them back, and then the rules of engagement got changed. And then suddenly we weren't fighting to win anymore. We were fighting to a stalemate. Donald Trump doesn't fight to stalemates. If you don't believe me, just go back and look at the footage of him when there were 20 some odd people in the Republican primary and him just verbally beating the crap out of every single one of them, to the point that that was one of the reasons why I didn't like the man, because he was just relentless to the point where he was being a dick. I mean, hell, I wrote an entire piece when I was submitting op-eds to American Action News back in the day about how if I were, at that point it was Ted Cruz, I believe, if I were Ted Cruz after the post first debate dust up where Donald Trump started accusing Cruz of having an affair and talk shit about Cruz's wife, I would, if it were me, I would have just marched up onto the dais, waited for the cameras to start rolling, turned to Donald Trump, marched over, socked him right in the fucking jaw, and then been like, if this is who you want, you can have him. And I wrote an entire piece about that because where I'm from, you don't talk trash about a man's wife. Regardless, I don't care. So yeah, that was one of the reasons why I did not vote for Trump in 2016. There were others, but that was one of the first ones. The second one also happened on a debate stage when I'm sitting here listening to him do a very good impression of Mojo Jojo. The military will do these things that I have told them to do because I have told them to do them because I am commander-in-chief. Wahaha. And that's what he's basically telling everybody that, you know, if he starts ordering the military to go kick in doors, then by God, they're going to go kick in doors. I was like, eh. And then he got elected. And then either he's a genius or he's the Leslie Nielsen of presidents because he either accidentally fixed a lot of shit or he knew what he was doing, which is why I did vote for him the second time and I voted for him the third time. And I don't have an issue with this conflict because this is one that we knew was coming. We kept trying to kick the can down the road on it. We kept saying not today. We kept leaving it to one generation left it to their children, the next generation left it to their children. And as for me, I'm kind of like, I would rather this be dealt with now so that my grandchildren don't have this problem. Because I have grandkids now. Most of them are young. My oldest is about to graduate 8th grade. And I don't want them growing up in the same kind of world that I grew up in, where, you know, your desk was combination earthquake shelter, fallout shelter, duck and cover shelter, tornado shelter, all of the above. I don't want them growing up in that kind of world. And we can actually help stop that. And one of the things that I loved TRRS brought home is one of the same points that I've been trying to make this entire time. And that is this: once the bombs start falling, the fight is over. There's plenty of time to fight about who did what right and who did what wrong later. But for now, everybody should be being united, and they're not. And that saddens me in ways that I can't even begin to explain. It saddens me. But we have come up to the end of hour 1, so we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, plenty more things to discuss. My name is Rick Robinson. Want to give a quick shout out to the mostly YouTube trolls and a couple of folks that have been nice in there chatting. It's nice to have you hanging out. I do this thing usually every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Normally at noon, but this is my annual time change sucks, so I'm doing my late show because I can. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
The lights down in the city, say the system's on the ropes, while the same hands that broke it hold your paycheck and your hopes. They'll sell your sweat for silver, call your sacrifice relief, but every drop of truth we bleed writes another line of belief. Freedom isn't free, it's carved in blood and fire and stone. That's the price of stand tall when they tell you to kneel and go home. They can lock up every promise, tax the air we breathe, but they'll never chain the hearts of those who still believe. Cause freedom tyrants and the cowards of the age. They can bury us in silence, but the truth still screams. Freedom is unfree.
Hello, friends. Do you have a moment so that we may discuss our Lord and Savior Minarchy? No, seriously, I'm just kidding. Hi, my name's Rick Robinson. I am the general manager of KLRNradio.com. We are probably the largest independent podcast network that you've never heard of. We have a little bit of everything, and by that, what I mean to tell you is we have news, pop culture, special events, conspiratainment, true crime, mental health shows, drama productions, and pretty much everything in between. So if you're looking for a new podcast home to grab a little bit of everything that you love all in one place, come check us out. You can find us on X under @KLRNradio. You can find us on our Rumble and our YouTube channels under the same names. You can also find us at KLRNradio.com and pretty much every podcast catcher known to man. So again, feel free to come check us out anytime you like at KLRNradio.
Come gather round the footlights, lads, and hear the old boards groan. A tale of ink and iron will, of voices overblown. From mics and scripts to painted sails, we've traded shore for sea. The players will man the rigging soon. Aye, your hands, follow me. From Long John shadowed silver grin to Jim with compass true. We speak the words, we wear the scars, we make the old world new. No gold without the work behind, no legend without sweat. A stage, a ship, a single breath. The course is not set yet. We play a sail, we play a sail, we play a sail soon. All hands to KLRN Radio, setting sail for Treasure Island, March 2026.
Not to be a backseat driver, but can you say for sure you got the best monthly payment possible on your auto loan? Could it be that you might have gotten a better deal by shopping the loan at a few places and have a lower car payment? Next time, before you go car shopping, visit Communication Federal Credit Union first. Our auto loan experts will find you a perfect loan and get you the lowest monthly payment we can. Communication Federal, your auto loan experts. Restrictions apply. Federally insured by NCUA.
Hi, everyone. This is JJ, the co-founder of Good Pods. If you haven't heard of it yet, Good Pods is like Goodreads or Instagram, but for podcasts. It's new, it's social, it's different, and it's growing really fast. There are more than 2 million podcasts, and we know that it is impossible to figure out what to listen to. On Good Pods, you follow your friends and podcasters to see what they like. That is the #1 way to discover new shows and episodes. You can find Good Pods on the web or download the app. Happy listening.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
The following program contains coarse language and adult themes. Listener discretion is advised.
From red dirt roads to the Capitol steps, Rick's calling truth, no time for regrets. Fire in his it's the Rick Robinson Show where the truth rides high. No spin, no script, just an eagle in the sky. From DC to Tulsa, he's calling it out.
And welcome back into the Oh My God, It's Monday again edition. It's also Time Change Monday, which is why the show's later than usual. But I decided, you know what, since I'm kind of my own boss over here, I started the process to do an annual time change sucks, and we're going to do the show when I feel like it doing the show kind of thing. So it's new. Anyway, so interesting thing is I'm getting a lot more trolls since my show's later. Hey, Stan, do you mind if I call you asshat? I didn't think you'd mind. So let's take this in order. Adolf Trump. Remind me again how Hitler tried to help the Jews. Last I checked, he was busy trying to unalive them, not help them. Let's talk about ICE, immigrations and customs enforcement. What's that first letter for the I? Immigration, last letter, enforcement. Guess what? They're rounding up the people that broke into our country. So I don't want to hear shit from you unless your windows are unlocked, your doors are unlocked, your key is in your car, and you just let people use your car whenever you want. Come in and eat your food, use a shower, sleep on your couch. Because if you aren't doing those things, then you aren't living your life the way you think all of America should be living our lives. And as far as us being Nazis, I got two of those for you, brother. I've been called worse. Can you play what? Anyway, BZ, I don't know what you're asking me, but I probably wouldn't care. I don't really know what you're trying to ask me, though. So, anyway, so let's get back into some of these clipses, because we got clipses. We got more clipses. We got more clipses. Apparently that one is not showing up on my screen very well anymore. I think I already had it loaded, though, so I forgot what I was doing. All right, so we're not even going to talk about this one first. We're just going to play it.
Look, you fat fuck Trump, if you listen to this, you listen good, because what I'm getting ready to say is what a lot of people in this country speak for, who I speak for. And I speak for a lot of fucking people. You hear me, you fat asshole? This is what we believe. You're right. I got Trump derangement syndrome. I hate the motherfucker. And you know what? I don't want to get rid of it. I don't want to get better. I want to get worse. I want to hate him more. I pray to God in heaven, God reign the righteous reign of Trump derangement syndrome. Pray for me, Lord. I'm your vessel on this earth. Pray for the people that listen to this. We want more. We want to hate the son of a bitch so much that we can't see straight. Look, you fat fuck Trump, if you listen to this.
Well, Mr. Carville, I think you're there, my friend. And you might be saying the word God, but whether you realize it or not, that's not who you're praying to, because God is not a God of hate. He's just not. But in case you didn't think that TDS was demonic, let's watch this again.
Look, you fat fuck Trump, if you listen to this, you listen good, because what I'm getting ready to say is what a lot of people in this country speak for, who I speak for. And I speak for a lot of fucking people. You hear me, you fat asshole? This is what we believe. You're right. I got Trump derangement syndrome. I hate the motherfucker. And you know what? I don't want to get rid of it. I don't want to get better. I want to get
So look at this face. Look at this face and tell me that Trump derangement syndrome isn't a demonic kind of thing. Because it is. These people are opposed to everything that this country was founded upon. And they have been able to wrap it in the flag for the longest time and try to convince you that they were the ones that actually cared about you. And look, again, I am not trying to tell you that Republicans give a shit about you either. I will say this. Donald Trump seems to be about the only person that I've seen in my lifetime that actually gives a damn about this country, other than Ronald Reagan and a handful of other folks. And that is why he's doing what he's doing. He is putting together a masterclass on how to bring us back to the forefront again, rather than Obama's lead the world from behind bullshit and Joe Biden's lead what? I'm asleep bullshit. Because that's what he's doing. I mean, I talked about this in the beginning of the program. The people of Cuba are now screaming for freedom in the streets. The people of Iran are now screaming for freedom in the streets. Venezuela is politically realigning with us again, which is hurting China. Russia just lost its biggest drone supplier because they're throwing all of their drones at us and at Israel. Yeah, that one too. Yeah, unless you're sheltering at least 10 illegal aliens in your home, then I don't want to hear shit from you. But anyway, all right. So, James Carville, holy crap. The funny thing is, that whole "it's the economy stupid" line, that was his. The man used to be a political powerhouse. Now his brain's been eaten. Oh, actually, the play is spring. They said spring, I heard March, and I never went back in to fix it, so it'll be sometime probably in March or April, I would guess. Maybe sometime in May. But as far as casting, you'll need to reach out to either Amish or Jeff, because that's their department. Not to break the fourth wall for a second and talk about other stuff, but dude, this is nuts to me. All right, so we got to talk about this one again, because this one still surprises me. I never thought I'd hear this man speaking so much truth in less than a minute and a half. But here we go.
Tell us the damn truth or don't tell us anything at all. This is a war of good versus evil, a regime that funds and arms terrorist proxies across the Middle East. How long has this been going on? Well, Reagan administration, the Bush administration, George H. Bush, Clinton's administrations, George W. Bush, Obama, Trump 1, Biden, Trump 2. That's how long this guy's been doing what he's been doing. A network of more than a dozen militia and proxy groups, Hezbollah, Hamas, Palestinian Islamic Jihad, and militias in Iraq, Syria, and Yemen. Iran's Revolutionary Guard. These are groups they fund, train, and provide weapons to. U.S. officials have long stated that Iran provides financial and military support to Hamas, backing the October 7th attack on Israel, a regime that has imprisoned, tortured, and executed political dissidents. A UN report found that Iran executed at least 975 people in 2024. That's one of the highest totals globally. We are being misled by the media because it only wants you to believe what they want you to believe.
Now, again, that's not something that I ever thought I would hear from none other than Dr. Phil, once known as Oprah's darling, Dr. Phil. But yeah, back to Carville for a second, because I meant to talk about that a second ago. Dude is literally like drooling all over himself, spittle flying everywhere. He honestly looks really deranged. So that was just an interesting kind of contrast for me, because if I would have thought anybody would have been kind of deranged over Trump, I really thought it would have been Dr. Phil. But at some point along the way, he kind of proved me wrong in a lot of different things. because there have been a few of his clips I've played over the years that I'm like, I didn't see this coming from him. This is another one of those things, and I agree with him completely. Either the media needs to start just telling us the truth or shut the hell up. Because we have enough people trying to spoon feed Iranian propaganda all over social media and Facebook and TikToks and all the different places now. We don't need any help from the lamestream media to do the same things, or as I like to call them, the zombie media, because if they are zombies and if you pay attention to them long enough, you become one too. All right, so you may have heard some of this earlier today. Apparently, the Iranian women's soccer team were being forced to go home to Iran after basically doing something that guaranteed them a death sentence. This is from our friends over at Red State. Terry Christoph gave an update. Apparently, 5 of the Iranian women's soccer team have fled the team hotel and are currently being given asylum in Australia and may eventually wind up coming here. This is from the Rapid Response 47 account. I just spoke to Prime Minister Anthony Albanese of Australia concerning the Iranian national women's soccer team. He's on it. 5 have already been taken care of, and the rest are on their way. Some, however, feel they must go back because they are worried about the safety of their families, including threats to those family members if they don't return. In any event, the Prime Minister is doing a very good job having to do with this rather delicate situation. God bless Australia, President Donald J. Trump. So that was that was one of the responses. This one seems to have come out earlier. So this last one, I was looking for the timestamp, but it's not there because of the way they put them together. So this one was at 10:57 today. Australia is making a terrible humanitarian mistake by allowing the Iran national women's soccer team to be forced back to Iran, where they will most likely be killed. Don't do it. Mr. Prime Minister, give asylum. The U.S. will take them if you won't. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So that was the first post. Then you saw the second one. So it was just last week that we reported on the brave, and we talked about it here on this show too, on the brave women soccer players from the Iranian squad who refused to sing the anthem of the Islamic Republic. For those of you who don't know why this is such a big deal, they are legally and for the sake of their lives, obligated to not only stand, but to sing their country's national anthem. Now it's being reported, of course, that 5 members of the squad have fled their hotel in fear and are now in the custody of Australian law enforcement as they seek asylum. An X-account associated with Reza Pahlavi, an exiled Iranian dissident whose late father was the last Shah of Iran, revealed Monday morning that the 5 women identified as Fatima, and I'm not going to keep trying to read their names, Fatima, Zara, and another Zara, and Atefe, as well as Mona, because I'm not trying to pronounce her last name, successfully separated from the team training camp and have now joined the National Revolution of Iran's Lion and Sun. And I quote from the translation, "We inform our compatriots and the media that 5 players from Iran's women's national football team," and went over the names earlier, so I'm not going to try to say them again, have successfully sought refuge in Australia by leaving the team's training camp. These 5 athletes, who are currently in a safe location, have announced their joining of the National Revolution of Iran's Lion and Sun. So, and again, I would just like to point out, these people are telling us in their own words, anytime they have an internet connection, that they are willing to die for freedom. That freedom means enough to them, for not only for their people, but for their country, that if they have to sacrifice themselves, they're willing to do it. This sounds so much like what our founding fathers said. And I'm trying to figure out where we lost that step or dozen steps between them and where we are now. Because it doesn't make any sense to me. Because again, there used to be a time where once the bombs started falling, the bickering stopped. Long enough to get us through the other side, shake it all loose, And then the bickering started again, and then there were after action reports and investigations and all the above. But this happening in real time, where you still have half of the government refusing to fund the part of the government that we absolutely definitely need right now, especially if there have been carousel orders given, and it would appear that there have been. I'm just saying. There's plenty of time to be right or wrong later. You don't have these fights during the fight. You just don't. All right, so we got to talk about this, and I was actually gonna do an entire show about this on Kingdom and Country last night. I will probably do it on Wednesday because this is usually when I do the Wednesday Bible study week. Thanks to the time change and trying to make my rounds to folks that I knew that were in the hospital. By the time I got home, I was completely exhausted, and yes, unfortunately, I know more than one that are currently in the hospital right now. But this is from Texas. James Tallarico claims to love trans children, but does he? Does he really, though? This is from Jeff Charles. Texas Democratic State Rep James Tallarico, who is running for Senate, is under new scrutiny after old video clips emerged in which he virtue signaled about how much he loves trans-identified children. Why does that sound creepy, though? During an August 2023 interview on the A Super Boom podcast, the host asked Tallarico to name something he loves that's not family or friends. I love, and just say this because it's on my mind, the trans children who showed up yesterday at the state capitol to advocate for their humanity, the candidate said. They shouldn't have had to, but it was an inspiration to watch. And just for fun, and just because I'm going to make you guys watch the clip because reasons. All right, so here we go.
Something that you love that's not family or friends.
I love, I'm just saying this because it's on my mind, the trans children who showed up yesterday at the state capitol to advocate for their humanity. They shouldn't have to, but it was an inspiration to watch.
All right, so just so you know, when the Bible talks about wolves in sheep's clothing, this guy, yeah, that's who the Bible means. First of all, I am kind of sad he hasn't been struck by lightning for saying God is non-binary, because that's some crap, for one. For two, the whole, the Bible doesn't say anything about abortion. Well, it doesn't say anything about it per se, but it does point out that God has known everything about you from the moment he helped knit you together in your mother's womb. So I'm pretty sure he doesn't want you murdered. I mean, that might be a bit of a stretch, but I'm pretty sure that means he doesn't want you murdered, because if you are being brought into this world, there is a reason you are supposed to be here. And I have said this before. One of the reasons why I have always been diametrically opposed to abortion is this. How many people that were destined to cure cancer, how many people that were destined to do amazing things were aborted? And you know the scariest thing, and I believe this to be 1,000% true, all of these aborted babies that were sent back up to heaven, their parents are going to see them someday. And I hope they're ready for that. Now, I have been married twice. I was engaged 3 times. Found out years after the fact that my first fiance was pregnant and left the state, didn't tell me. So I have an older son that I tried to connect with later in life. Didn't really work out very well. We don't really talk. I've tried, but he didn't really want to have anything to do with me. I do have other biological and blended family children. And each time we found out we were having kids, we always had the same conversation, at least the first time. And it was this, I don't believe in abortion, so we need to talk about this. So each time I sat down with the partner, which wives, and we discussed it. Because I firmly believe if you're on this planet, you're on it for a reason. Sometimes people don't figure out what it is until later in life. But everybody has a reason for being here. But for this man to scream and yell that God is non-binary, that the Bible doesn't care about abortion, that trans kids are amazing. Look, and I'm not trying to say trans kids aren't amazing, but they have an obvious mental health issue that we are not addressing. And that's just the truth of it. Because the same people that keep saying, well, God doesn't make mistakes and these people are born gay. Yeah, but you just said God put somebody in the wrong body. So which one is it? Which one is it? Oh, and let's not forget that he says there are 6 genders. There are not 6 genders. There are not 6 genders. You can claim there are, and you can try to say that you're being, you're being cool, but you're really not. All right, so let's see. Time to take a break. So let me see what we're going to play for break this time. Don't really have a lot of them loaded yet. Hang on. Let me get this another way, because I thought I had them loaded in my deck, but I don't. So hang on. Why is that one not coming up? Sorry for the dead air. Give me just a second. All right, I think I made it work now.
He swore an oath to make a difference, ran toward danger while others turned away. Now it seems the world's against him, and no one knows quite what to say. Live the life and follow the path forged in fire. Burning bright through the darkest night. Though the world may turn its back on him, he still stands. Won't lose the fight. He walked through fire with no applause, carried burdens that nobody saw, judgmental words and glares that wound. A price has been paid that few can understand. Live the life and follow the path forged in fire. Burning bright through the darkest night. Though the world may turn
and follow the path forged in fires. Burning bright through the darkest night. Though the world may turn its back on him, he still stands. Won't lose the fight. Backbone laid in fire. Still alive. To every former but current member of law enforcement, thank you.
And welcome back in for the final segment of the Monday edition of the Rick Robinson Show. We are live, and I already said this in the chat, but I'm going to say it here too. Looks like T_Cruz, who is probably not the actual Ted Cruz, at least I would hope not. Eating too much is a sin too. Doesn't look like that's stopped you. Blame your mom. She likes the cushion, bro. I don't know what else to tell you. All right, so anyway, we're back. We're live. Final moments of the show. Final things to talk about as we get through it here. And we got to talk about this. This is from David Manny over at PJ Media. And this is, again, one of the things that I've been talking about. Because here's Mr. Schumer taking his victory lap on gas prices. Over the past several years, we've watched our gas prices swing widely and wildly. We remember the spikes that stretched family budgets and the sudden political urgency in Washington whenever those numbers climb. Senator Chucky Schumer, Democrat, New York, has launched a new line of attack against President Donald Trump, urging the administration to tap their strategic petroleum reserve in response to rising gas prices. Schumer's comments revive an argument that many voters heard repeatedly during the previous administration, a position that raises an obvious question. Where was that same concern when the federal government drained large amounts of oil from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve during President Joe Biden's term in office? And this is from Mr. Senator himself. The instability created by Trump in this war is already hitting families in their wallets, Schumer said Sunday. NBC New York reported the Strategic Petroleum Reserve is for moments just like this. But Trump, instead of using this tool, which so many other presidents have used to lower prices at the pump, he's saying the market will heal very quickly. Schumer urged Trump to listen to your average driver who's paying 40 cents more per gallon, that prices are healing very quickly. Listen to your truck driver who drives a truck for a living, who has said if the price keeps going up, you may go out of business, and you say, oh, they'll heal very quickly. The SPR serves as the nation's emergency oil supply. Congress created the reserve after the energy shocks of the 1970s so that American presidents could respond to war, supply disruptions, or major economic threats. The reserve sits in vast underground salt caverns along the Gulf Coast and holds hundreds of millions of barrels of crude oil. Under Biden, the federal government carried out one of the largest drawdowns in the reserve history. In 2022, Biden authorized the release of 180 million barrels of oil from the SPR over several months. Administration officials argued that the move would increase supply and help ease rising gasoline prices that had surged during global energy turmoil, otherwise known as Green New Deal bullshit. The drawdown reduced the reserve to levels not seen since the 1980s. Federal energy records showed that the stockpile falling to roughly 350 million barrels, a dramatic decline from the more than 600 million barrels held only a few years earlier. Critics warned at the time that the policy sacrificed long-term readiness for short-term political relief during a midterm election year. Now, Schumer has urged President Trump to release additional oil from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve amid rising gasoline prices. Despite recent polling, Schumer remains Senate Majority Leader and one of the most powerful Democrats in Washington. His message frames rising fuel costs as an urgent burden on American drivers and places pressure on the White House to act quickly. The political timing has drawn scrutiny from energy analysts and lawmakers who recall earlier reserve drawdowns, even though draining emergency supplies to manage retail fuel prices sets a dangerous precedent. The reserve exists to protect the country during a true supply crisis, such as war or catastrophic disruptions to global oil production. President Trump has taken a different approach, repeatedly arguing that the United States possesses abundant domestic energy resources and should focus on increasing production rather than relying on emergency reserves. And I happen to agree with the president. And I'm just going to say this again. If not for the fact that we had started the drill baby drill policies again, how much higher would our fuel prices be right now? Seriously. And I'm sorry, if I have to pay 40 cents per gallon more on average to bring freedom to millions of people, why are we not okay with that? During World War II, we were willing to sacrifice everything to make the world more free. This is a bigger fight than any of you on the left are willing to admit. Because you can't, because then it makes you look like the assholes. As long as this is a regional conflict that is none of our business, you can paint this how you paint it. But none of that is. This has been a regime that has been for 47 years, whether we wanted to admit we were at war with them or not. They had no qualms telling the rest of the world that they were at war with us. And because of our interference in the 50s, that's when all of a sudden it became this idea of first the Saturday people, then the Sunday people. Now, we can't relitigate what happened in the 50s because I wasn't alive yet. And even if I was, there wasn't a damn thing I could do about it. But we can deal with it now. And the simple fact of the matter is, this is a fight that should have been handled a long time ago. And for all of you that keep saying this is about Islamophobia or this is about American hegemony, blah, blah, blah. No, it is not. It is about making the world understand that we're not going to be anybody's bitch anymore. Whether it's Europe, whether it's Russia, whether it's China, whether it's Iran, we are done being people's bitch. And the simple fact of the matter is, and I've been saying this now for almost as long as I've been doing these programs, Iran only understands one thing. Middle Eastern culture only understands one thing, and that is strength. Period, point blank, end of story, end of discussion. As soon as Barack Obama started throwing money at them, they knew they had us. When Biden repeated the same process with a 4-year break with Trump trying to do things differently, they knew they had us again. I mean, they're literally a death cult. And they're not even a very good one when you think about it. They have been propping themselves up through fear and propaganda that we have been buying into. That apparently not much was true about. I mean, how many of the Ayatollahs have we taken out in the last, what are we at now? A little over a week? Hell, I don't know. I've lost track. And how many of them have we taken out? And now they waited. So they announced the son was going to get the gig. But then they pulled it back because there's been some sort of a rumor that he might have actually been injured in an attack and they weren't sure he was going to survive. Now they're pretty sure he's going to survive. So now they're saying the son is the new Ayatollah again. And of course, all the leftists and all the Europeans, you don't understand what you've done. He's so much worse than dad. And he's probably not long for this world either, because we are not fighting the wars the same way you guys used to fight wars. To the point where we kick them around a little bit and then we back off and say, now can we be friends? No, this regime has proven to us over and over again that they cannot be friends. And for once, we have a commander-in-chief who understands the main job of the military is to kill people and to break things, not to be a police force. So that's what he's using them for, to kill people and to break things, which is good. Bubba, I have over 300 people listening on other streams, plus more that will come up later. But you can feel free to leave. That's fine. I don't really care. If you think my points are idiotic, you probably shouldn't be here anyway. But that's a story for another day. I love trolls. You know what? Let me make it easy for you, since you said you were leaving anyway. Bye. All right. So let's get things going here. So we got to talk about this. I know I've talked about it before, but I still feel like we need to take another victory lap on this one. So hang on. Everybody remember how much the left made fun of the idea of Space Force? Let's hang on. That's not what I'm looking for. Where did it go? Is it in here? Oh, hang on. I think I got rid of my... There we go. Now I can make it work. Somehow I stacked something, so... All right, so, well, first, I want to leave it on this Chiron for a second. Dems' instincts are always wrong. Kind of like whoever the hell that was. It is, oh, you're making your points to 5 people, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, you don't realize I streamed to like 7 different platforms. So, whatever. Spread out all over the place, and YouTube's the one I'm working on now, because I wasn't worried about it before. But anyway. So we're going to talk about this because this is delicious.
Space Force was a joke.
No one asks how we're going to pay for this Space Force.
There's no threat in space. Who are we fighting? Satellites? When Trump talks about Space Force, he makes it sound like we're going to be on a rocket riding to the moon, like Space Force, riding up there and killing aliens.
Joke's on them. Space Force is a critical mission right now. They deployed heat-seeking infrared beams that detect missiles the second they launch so that our guys can take shelter when the rockets get neutralized. Space Force is working on U.S. soil, so they're out of harm's way. Thank God. Operation Space Force was a joke.
No one asks how we're going to pay for this Space Force.
Pretty sure it's already paid for itself. Occasional Cortex. So, again, you can see this all the way back in January of 2019. But again, as usual, the Dems didn't really understand why we were creating a Space Force. I still personally believe that a lot of it might have had something to do with the fact that I think there's more going on in the great unknown than we are ever going to know. Anyway, think SG-1 with their spaceships. I honestly probably think there's more going on than we're ever going to know. But that's more for my conspiratainment show that we do every 2 weeks. Speaking of which, make sure you join us, not this coming Saturday, but the following Saturday for our annual foray into everything you ever wanted to know about the Mandela effect, including some new scary things that have come out about it. So yeah, make sure you join us for that. But with all of this, with the Space Force, again, this is just the left not having any type of foresight and not believing that there are things that needed to change with our country and how we do things. Space Force has done amazing work during this campaign, using satellites and other technologies available. And then, of course, we start finding out that they have lasers they can use to track heat signatures that let people know exactly where they are. Then apparently there are now actual ships with mounted lasers of some kind. I still haven't been able to determine exactly what those do, but we're definitely starting to live in the official 21st century at this point. We have artificial intelligence changing things on the daily for us. We've got space lasers that aren't just Amish. That's right. Don't listen to the propaganda. It's not the Jews with the space lasers. It's actually the Amish. Don't ask me how I know, because I can't tell you. Okay, I'll tell you. There's an Amish attorney I work with who claims that they're the ones with all those things. Okay, so we got to look at this. This is from Matt Vespa. I don't exactly know where he's going with it, but apparently there's some sort of insurgency starting to brew in red states, and it actually could change a lot of things for the Democrats, not in a good way. So let's take a look, and I'm going to read from the article for a moment, which is why I gave him credit. Look, I'm going to chuckle a bit here because it's not like the Senate was ever really in danger of flipping. Sorry, Chuck. It was a long shot back then, and now with these folks getting involved, it's probably done for. Unless a series of unforeseen disasters happen, we have independent candidates running in deep red states, and Democrats are not happy about it. I get it. We've had our fair share of third-party spoilers. The problem is that some of these candidates have a better shot at winning because the Democrat Party brand is garbage. This is from Politico. Following the 2024 momentum of Nebraska independent Dan Osborne, who is running again this year, liberal candidates in Montana, Idaho, and South Dakota are mounting Senate bids as independents, but they are quickly running into a problem. Unlike in Nebraska, local Democrats aren't interested in stepping aside. That puts both the Democratic Party and these independents in a bit of a bind, and could imperil their chances of breaking up GOP control of the Senate. Democrats running candidates in red states see no reason to endorse candidates who have not pledged to support them in Congress, even though the liberal-minded independents may have a stronger path to victory in red areas where the Democratic Party brand is now toxic. Montana is the most likely place where these tensions could boost the GOP. Former University of Montana President Seth Bodner launched his independent bid on Wednesday, the final day candidates could get on the ballot in the state. Ooh, that's sneaky. And you know he did that on purpose. That was the same day Senator Steve Daines, Republican Montana, announced his retirement in an explicit effort to keep Democrats from fielding a strong candidate of their own. But while Democrats privately aren't thrilled with their candidate options, in a state where they've had a long track record of success in spite of its right-wing and rightward national lean, the state Democratic Party immediately was quick to reaffirm its commitment to only backing party members. Full stop. The party has 4 candidates running in its June 2nd primary. In an interview, Bodner, whose campaign is being run by former staffer Senator John Tester, Democrat, Montana, stayed strictly on message and would not address a ticket-splitting scenario. We are launching, and I quote, "We are launching a campaign that's going to represent all Montanans," he said. "You know, we're working to build a coalition of independents, of Republicans, of Democrats, of Montanans who frankly are fed up with battling over red versus blue and the partisan name-calling and the insiders that are working to distract us and divide us." In South Dakota, same thing seems to be happening. Independent Brian Bangs and the state Democratic Party have been sparring. Bangs, who ran as a Democrat in 2022 but was an independent before and after that race, is blunt about the dangers of splitting votes. "The field needs to be cleared," he said, "and I recognize that. But Democrats have no plans to pave the way for him, even as Bangs raised more than 5 times his Democratic opponent. Holy crap. And more than any non-Republican candidate in the state in 16 years. "We have no interest in supporting an independent candidate," running South Dakota Democratic Party Vice Chair Jessica Mayers said in an interview. Wow. So that's kind of some wishful thinking, not addressing the elephant in the room about the indies being spoilers. You're on the ballot, guys. Naturally, you have to address it and make your case for why you should win. So that's a Democrat problem. But some could argue that this circus remains part of this party's ongoing drama of resisting change, or perhaps being incapable of doing so because their base is so extreme. Please see spittle flying James Carville for examples. Wow. Dun, dun, dun. So we've got indies fighting Democrats in other states. We've got the first socialist Islamic mayor in New York City. I didn't have any of this on my 2026 bingo card. Anybody else have any of this on your 2026 bingo card? All right. So Jake Tapper's back in the news. We should probably see why, just because it could be fun. Here's a clip.
It's thick black smoke and oil raining from the sky. One resident told CNN, it, quote, feels like we're suffocating. I know that the president has voiced concern for the Iranian people in the last few months. You are a former energy executive. What are the health impacts from these strikes on fuel sites?
Yeah, of course, there's air quality impacts of that, but I would focus on the thousands of American soldiers that the Iranian regime has killed over the years. They opened their regime by kidnapping 66 Americans and holding them hostage for over a year. 3 years later, they killed hundreds of Marines in Beirut, doing nothing of aggression towards Iran. And then they continued that through IED bombs in Iraq. So this is a murderous regime. In fact, they recently killed somewhere between 10 and 30,000 of their own citizens protesting their murderous regime. So that's a far greater worry than a few days of lower air quality in Tehran. They're just not even on the same magnitude.
So this is what Tapper's worried about right now, really? Air quality issues? That's what he's worried about. All right, so we're coming to the end of our time together, but there is one more quick hit that I want to show you, and this is going to be Schumer versus Schumer. You'll notice a much younger Schumer in this picture, and you may not believe what he's about to say.
Let's admit the truth. Everywhere people go, they're asked for a Social Security card. In fact, one way to prove you're a bona fide person who can have a job is to ask for a driver's license and a Social Security card. This is an anti-fraud amendment. Over where we go, people say, well, why can't you stop illegal immigrants or others from coming here? And the number one answer we give our constituents is when they come here, they can get jobs, get benefits against the law because of fraud. What they are proposing in this so-called SAVE Act is like Jim Crow 2.0. Let's admit the truth. Everywhere people go, they're asked for a Social Security card. In fact, one way to prove you're a bona fide person who can have a job is to ask for a driver's license and a Social Security card. This is an anti-fraud amendment.
So wait, back then Schumer was pushing for anti-fraud? I mean, that's a hell of a flip-flop, isn't it? It's a hell of a flip-flop. But then again, the Democrats have never met a position they weren't willing to change their minds on repeatedly. Anyway. All right. So we got to talk about this real quick. This is from Kurt Schlichter. This is one of his editorial kind of opinion pieces over at Town Hall. So I'm just going to read a little bit of this on the way out the door. Why won't you MAGA people cooperate and freak out? Why won't you accept that America is not only being defeated by the Iranians, but that Tel Aviv is on fire, that our ships are sinking, that we're running out of bullets, and that everything is going to hell? I mean, sure, your lifetime of experience shows you that none of this is true, and you would be well aware that 7th century savages from the Middle East are utterly incapable of competing against American or Israeli technology, martial skills, and or firepower, exponentially less so when both of them are fully integrated, synchronized, and combined. But hey, you should still believe it anyway, because if you don't, you clearly want to die for Israel or something. And here's another one. You MAGA people also fail to understand that this campaign is a giant war crime, according to the same people who are also experts on COVID, tariffs, immigration law, and every other subject that happens to get raised on social media. I was just a Fortune 500 lawyer for 30 years, an Army colonel, and a graduate of the Army War College, but, I defer to the experience of at Turgid Marcel Libertarian 69 and his contention that you're not allowed to attack an enemy frigate on the high seas because of reasons, and shut up, you love Israel. And so, but this is the absurdity of where we are. And this was one of the biggest things, because remember, when this happened, they started trying to say, oh my God, our people just sunk an unarmed ship, and we did this, and the submarine didn't offer aid, and the submarine didn't do this, and it's a war crime. Okay, so I know in the final couple minutes I'm going to sound like a dick, but I want to remind you that the only reason international law exists because of us. The only reason there's such a thing as the Geneva Convention and all these other things is because of us. And the simple fact of the matter is the submarine did its job. How do you think the Sri Lankans knew to come try to save them? Duh. So, yeah, all right. So one more quick hit only because the title intrigues me. So let's see. This is from Ashley. Yeah, I'm not going to try to pronounce that last name. But apparently, eating dinner with your family is now considered bonkers. It's honestly amazing what some outlets will say just to get a headline. Secretary Kennedy recently gave a speech about families eating meals together and strengthening their communities. And the Daily Beast somehow turned that into RFK Jr. gives bonkers anti-demons health advice. What the hell? Which, wish I was kidding. Apparently encouraging people to spend time with their families is now controversial. Secretary Kennedy's message about strength of community and the importance of sharing meals together should surprise absolutely no one. Like much of his and President Trump's platform, it's rooted in something seemingly fairly radical these days, something we used to call common sense. But much like my grandma used to say, common sense is a flower that doesn't grow in every garden. And also, unfortunately, it doesn't generate clicks like outrage does. So, of course, they had to find a way to spin it to get folks to read it. This is one of the most painful things about being in this industry right now is when you try to do down the middle as much as you can and you're not trying to foment outrage, almost nobody notices you because it's all about the rage clicks anymore. All right, that's going to do it for this particular episode. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank those of you who were hanging out with us today. Yes, even the trolls. There were a couple that I had to ban because you were being dicks, but thank you for helping raise my numbers anyway. We'll be back. I'll be back tonight for the Rick Robinson show. Sorry, no, that's this one. Sorry. Did I mention time change has messed me up? So anyway, tonight, 10 p.m. Eastern, the America Off the Rails show. And then we'll be headed over into SHR media territory with, as far as I know, the Edge of Liberty. And that'll be, I think there's actually a Spirited Books on before that as well. But some of my crew is afraid of YouTube, so you'll have to come find them on X if you want to go check that out. And if you don't like politics, that's actually probably a good show for you because they discuss books and have fun. So come back and check that one out tonight, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. And then, like I said, I will be live at 10 Eastern. Then we'll be heading over into SHR Media Territory at 11 Eastern. Tomorrow, plan on doing some writing. I'll be back for Men Explained Poorly tomorrow night, 10 p.m. Eastern. Then Saturday, usual full lineup. Feel free to check everything out at KLRMradio.com. We do have a lot of our archives and schedules there, so feel free to go check all that out. You can find me as well at RowdyRick73. I also contribute to Twitchy.com, MisfitsPolitics.com, LoftusParty.com, and I also produce the Loftus Party podcast, which drops on Tuesdays. We're going to get out of here, folks. Enjoy the rest of your day, and thank you to everyone who hung out with us today. Bye, everybody.
From red dirt roads to the Capitol steps, Rick's calling truth, no time for regrets.
Say goodnight, Gracie.